Hello, dearest learners! Kumusta na kayo? Muli, narito na naman ako para sama-sama tayong mag-aral sa asignaturang MAPEH particular sa health. Ginawa kong taglish ang ating talakayan upang mas madali ninyong maintindihan. Nais ko lamang ipabatid sa inyo na dapat tapusin ang videong ito dahil pagkatapos ng ating talakayan ay tutulungan ko kayo para masagutan ang isa sa mga activities ninyo. But for now, you may get a piece of paper, your ballpen, and your module that is Health 9, Module 3, entitled Environmental Health. Una sa lahat, nais ko munang alamin natin kung ano ba ang environment or ano ang ibig sabihin ng environment. Environment is the surrounding where people, animals, or plants live and operate. Ito yung kapaligiran natin na kung saan tayo ay nakatira kasama ang iba pang may buhay. The environment provides us with resources necessary for life, from clean air to water to food and shelter, as well as the natural resources used in industrial economies. It serves as our only habitat to continue life. But when humans overuse them, environmental problems likely become the central issue in the world. It includes natural causes, yet karamihan dito ay mula sa mga human activities or tayo din yung nagiging cause ng iba't ibang environmental problems na ito. Environmental issues are defined as harmful effects to Earth and its natural systems due to the actions of humans. Although one can also occur from natural causes, human behavior has led to insight in environment corrosion. Meanwhile, in our country, the Philippines experiences numbers of environmental issues more on the climate change, deforestation, air and water pollution, poor waste disposal, declined biodiversity, and now the most talked issues around the world, that is COVID-19, as environment hazards belonging to biological hazard type, predominantly distress the health of numerous people in the country. Isa sa mga environmental issues sa ating bansa ay ang poor solid waste disposal o ang maling pagtatapon ng ating mga basura. Isa sa pinakamalaking hamon sa ating pamahalaan lalong-lalo na ngayon ay ang solid waste management, especially sa mga syudad gaya na lang sa Metro Manila. Ilan sa mga rason kung bakit nahihirapan tayong manage ang ating mga basura ay ang improper waste disposal, inefficient waste collection, and lack of disposal facilities. Hanggat hindi naayos ang mga ito ay magiging mitsa pa rin ang pagkasira ng ating kapaligiran na siyang magbibigay naman ng direktang epekto sa mga tao o lahat ng mga naninirahan dito. Ito ay sa kadahilan ng ang mga basurang nakakalat sa ating paligid ay magiging rason sa pagkakaroon ng water and soil contaminations, pagbaha, iba't ibang uri ng polusyon at syempre ang pagkalat ng iba't ibang uri ng sakit. Solid waste refers to all the discarded materials, commercial waste, non-hazardous institutional and industrial waste, street sweepings, construction debris, agricultural waste, and other non-hazardous or non-toxic waste. The Philippines' waste generation continues to rise with the increase in population, improvement of living standards, rapid economic growth, and industrialization, especially in urban areas. Kaya nga, kapag meron lang continuous na pag-ulan na kahit tumagal lang ito ng buong magdamag, kinabukasan nandyan na yung pagbaha. Next is the water pollution. Pollution is the presence in or occurs when harmful substances, often chemicals or microorganisms, contaminate in any of the bodies of water. Water pollution is one of the major problems in the Philippines. The government continues to try to clean up the problem, implementing fines to polluters as well as environmental taxes, but many problems have not been addressed. In addition to this, during the dry season, many areas experience water shortages. On its website, Greenpeace reports the water pollution in the Philippines is mostly wastewater from the following sources. So ito yung mga pinanggagalingan ng mga polluted water. First, industrial. The metal varies according to industry. The lead, mercury, chromium, cadmium, and cyanide. Itong mga to ay maaaring maging sanhi ng water pollution. Another is from agricultural. Okay? And then, we also have the domestic sewage that contains pathogens that threaten the human life, and other sources like oil, mine or chemical spills, and illegal dumping in or near water. One of the most alarming things Greenpeace report is that out of the Philippines 421 rivers, as many as 50 are considered dead and unable to support any but the most robust life. Greenpeace has been working to develop a solution to water pollution in the Philippines. Kung maaalala ninyo, yung Pasig River, dati namatay na yun due to pollution. But the government made actions in order to revive yung ating Pasig River. So ngayon unti-unti namang nalilinis na yon at nabibigyang buhay na. Kasabay ng pandemya sa ating bansa ay ang pagsabog ng issue tungkol sa rehabilitasyon ng Manila Bay. I hope you are all aware of this since it went viral on Facebook and other social media. Hindi maintindihan ng nakararami na ang action na ito ay hindi lang for beautification purposes, kundi ito ay makakatulong upang malinis ang Manila Bay laban sa mga basura that cause water pollution. So maraming paraan para mabigyang solusyon ang problemang ito. Sunod naman dito ay ang noise pollution. Well, of course, natural na meron tayong mga sounds na naririnig. Pero meron tayong dalawang uri kasi ng sounds. Ito yung galing sa mga humans or mga tao, at meron din from external sources. Na pag sinabi nating external sources, kadalasan ito ay nagiging harmful and annoying sa mga tao and is considered as environmental pollution because it affects human health. Nagiging rason ito kung bakit nai-stress yung mga tao, hindi sila nakakatulog dahil sa sobra-sobrang ingay. According to the WHO or the World Health Organization, noise pollution is an excessive noise seriously harms human health and interferes with people's daily activities at school, at work, at home, and during leisure time. It can disturb sleep, cause cardiovascular and psychophysiological effects, reduce performance, and provoke annoyance responses and changes in social behavior. A close look to Philippines law, the Sanitation Code or PD, Presidential Decree 856 Series of 1975 clarifies excessive noise as nuisance, meaning anything that injures health, endangers life, offends the senses of or produces discomfort to the community, while the Environment Code Presidential Decree 1152 Series of 1997 defines noise as an unwanted sound from a known source. We also have the climate change. Bakit nga ba sa mga panahon ngayon kahit alas 9 pa lang ay masyado ng mainit? Or ngayon, for example, ay tag-ulan pero walang ulan. Nung summer naman, tag-init pero umuulan ng malakas. Kaya bakit kayo nagkakaroon ng ganon? That is because of the what we call climate change. So greenhouse gases are the main cause of climate change, trapping the sun's heat and warming the surface of the earth. The Philippines is highly vulnerable to the impacts of climate change, including sea level rise, increased frequency of extreme weather events, rising temperature, and extreme rainfall. This is due to its high exposure to natural hazards, dependence on climate-sensitive natural resources, and vast coastlines where all major cities and majority of the population reside. So, ang bawat mga plastic na ating sinusunog ngayon ay nagkakaroon ng greenhouse effect or nagkakaroon ng damage doon sa ating kalawakan na nagiging sanhi ito ng climate change. So, ayan. Susunod naman ay ang decline of biodiversity. When we say biodiversity, pagkakaroon ng iba't ibang uri or species ng mga buhay sa ating paligid gaya ng mga halaman, hayop, mga isda, at marami pang iba. Of more than 52,100 species described in the Philippines, more than half are found nowhere else in the world. The Philippines is also home to some of the highest concentrations of critically endangered and endangered species of the planet. Several endemic species in the Philippines have only 4% of their natural forest habitat remaining. Bakit kaya ipinagbabawal ang paghuhuli ng mga wild animals? Bakit kaya ipinagbabawal ang paghuli ng mga maliliit na isda sa ating karagatan or paggamit ng dinamita sa pangingisda? That is because nagkakaroon ito ng epekto dun sa ating biodiversity. At sea, unsustainable fishing has reduced fish populations, putting pressure on the ocean's ability to provide food and incomes. The nation is also an international hub for illegal wildlife trafficking, while the domestic exotic pet and bush meat trade continues to threaten biodiversity. Authorities lack support in enforcing national protection laws and are largely overwhelmed by sheer volume of illegal activity. At ang panghuli ay ang tinatawag nating environmental hazards, particularly the COVID-19 as a biological type of hazard. We face countless environmental hazards every day. To better understand them, we can think of them as falling into these categories: the physical, chemical, and biological hazards. When we say physical hazards, these are physical processes that occur naturally in the environment, gaya ng mga earthquakes, tornadoes, volcanoes, landslide, and droughts. Ito yung mga pangyayaring ito. And then, sumunod ay ang chemical hazards. Can both natural and human-made chemicals in the environment. Human-made chemical hazards include many of the synthetic chemicals we produce like disinfectants, pesticides, and plastics. Some chemical hazards occur naturally in the environment like the heavy metals, lead, and mercury. So, hindi natin namamalayan na ang mga disinfectants, yung mga pesticides na ginagamit natin, yung mga plastics na sinusunog natin, ay nagkakaroon pala ng epekto sa ating environment. Okay, next is we also have the biological hazards, also known as biohazards. It refers to biological substances that pose a threat to the health of living organisms, primarily that of humans. This can include medical waste or samples of microorganisms, virus, or toxins from biological source that can affect human health. Okay, one of the examples of biohazards is the COVID-19. Bakit nga ba wala ng face-to-face ngayon? Bakit tayo nag-aaral sa pamamagitan ng online or paggamit ng module? That is because of COVID-19 na sikat ngayon at kinatatakutan nating lahat. So what is this COVID-19? COVID-19 is a coronavirus disease as biohazard is an infectious disease caused by a newly discovered coronavirus. This new virus and disease were unknown before the outbreak began in Wuhan, China, and that was in December 2019. On the 30th of January 2020, the Philippine Department of Health reported the first case of COVID-19 in the country with a 38-year-old female Chinese national. And on March 7, the first local transmission of COVID-19 was confirmed. The WHO, or the World Health Organization, is working closely with the Department of Health in responding to the COVID-19 outbreak. The Philippines, like several developing countries, is being dealt a particularly fierce blow by the coronavirus. Everyone is to observe the quarantine policies to avoid the spread of disease, but social distancing is impossible in cramped urban areas. Okay, so paano ba naikakalat ang COVID-19? Okay, naikakalat ito sa pamamagitan ng droplets ng ating mga laway or any discharge from the nose when an infected person coughs or sneezes. Kaya, kailangan naka-face mask tayo. Okay? Most people infected with COVID-19 virus will experience mild to moderate respiratory illness and recover without requiring special treatment. Older people and those with underlying medical problems like cardiovascular disease, diabetes, chronic respiratory disease, and cancer are more likely to develop serious illness. At this time, there are no specific vaccines or treatments for COVID-19. However, there are many ongoing clinical trials evaluating potential treatments. WHO will continue to provide updated information as soon as clinical findings become available. So, alam naman na nating lahat ang tungkol sa COVID-19, kung paano ito naikakalat, paano tayo nakakaiwas, at paano gagaling ang isang tao na nahawaan ng coronavirus. So, aware na tayong lahat dyan. Okay? So, those are the environmental issues in our country. Ngayon, dadako naman tayo doon sa activity 2, which is destruction versus restoration. So, we have there the instruction, provide human activities that cause environmental issues. Write the ways on how to solve or even minimize the problems. So we have the different environmental issues on the first column, which are poor solid waste management, the pollution, climate change, declined biodiversity, environmental hazards, which is the COVID-19. On the second column, we have the human activities that cause environmental problems. So, ang ilalagay natin dyan, ano ba yung mga nagkakos sa mga problems na to? For example, the poor solid waste disposal. Ano ang nagkakos dito? And then, ang pangatlo naman na column, ilalagay natin dito ang solution. Okay? So, maliwanag ba ang inyong gagawin? Uulitin ko, sa pangalawang column, ilalagay dyan kung ano yung mga nagkakos or nagiging sanhi ng mga problema sa ating kapaligiran. At ang pangatlong column, ilalagay natin dito ano ba ang magiging solusyon natin para maibsan or kung hindi man ay mapuksa ang mga problemang ito sa ating kapaligiran. Okay? Sana may natutunan kayo dahil kung napakinggan nyo lahat ng ating talakayan, mula simula ay masasagot ninyo ang inyong activity 2. Okay? Sa susunod ay pag-uusapan natin ang mga iba't ibang epekto ng environmental issues. Maraming salamat!